Due to the subpar skills of this gamer, your discretion is advised.
Hey, welcome back to the channel, guys. I am Solly. So today we are going to be talking about keybinding and macros. So if you are ready, let's get into it. So 1 through 12 on my UI is synced with 1 through 12 on my mouse. And something I learned a long time ago when I first started playing is all the abilities you're going to use the most often if you're PvPing or PvE, your biggest cooldowns, offensively, defensively, whatever it is, you need those to be very, very easily accessible. So you want those to be on your mouse if that's the easiest thing for you. Or if you're a macro kind of guy or whatever it is, or girl. So for me, all of my biggest cooldowns, everything I use the most often, everything's on my mouse because that is very, very easy for me. It's just a matter of sliding your thumb around and sliding a few fingers around. And I use Shift and Alt as my modifiers. If you're not familiar with a modifier, so 1 is my Serpent Sting macro. If I push Shift 1, that allows me to use a different ability. And if I push Alt 1, that allows me to use a different ability again. So if I push Shift, it gives me 1 through 12 to put all new abilities in, and the same thing for Alt. All right. So my keybinds, 1, which is on my UI and on my mouse. 1 is my Serpent Sting macro, and we'll get into that in a little bit. 2 is my bomb. 3 is a trinket that I use. It's a huge, huge, big time versatility trinket. 4 is my mongoose. 5 is my kill command macro. We'll get into that too. 6 is Crucible Flames. 7 is Intimidation. 8 is Wind Clip. 9 is Faint Death. 10 is Disengage. 11 is my Freedom. And 12 is my Eagle macro. And if I push Shift, so Shift 1 is my Harpoon. Shift 2 and 3 are both traps. Shift 4 is usually a CC macro. It's a focus macro. Focus this, that, and the other. We'll get into that in a little bit. Shift 5 is always my cooldown, my biggest cooldown. Shift 6 is binding. Shift 7 is always my mobility, which is cheetah. Shift 8 is healing for my pet. Boom. Shift 9 is my turtle. Shift 10 is my stealth. For my alt modifier, Alt 1 is my bag of tricks macro to heal myself. Alt 2 is focus intimidate. Alt 3 is just a placer. That's just so I can track this trinket. It's a pretty big daddy haste trinket. Alt 4, that is my Crucible Flames to heal myself. That's another macro. 5, again, that is a Freedom Party 1 macro. And Alt 6 is my kites. So, one thing I always do right away, let's see, on keybinds, I go in, and again, this is one of the things you learn very early on. You never want a keyboard turn. All right, let's get my keyboard here. You never want to do this, especially in PvPing. Not only is it slow, but you're standing still. So you never ever want to do that. All right? So what I do is I take those out. I unbind those. Instead, I have strafe left and right for A and D. All right. See, I'm going side to side here. I can still attack. I can still move at full speed. And the same thing for moving backwards. The only time anyone should be backpedaling is a tank that has to position himself, to position mobs, etc., etc. After that, no one else should be backpedaling ever. All right. So I unbind the move backwards as well. Now I just sheath my weapon. Right, that's all I did there. Because again, it's all a matter of just sliding one finger around. That's all that is. All right. And again, continue off of that. Q, that's my kick. Again, it's just sliding one finger. F, that's my healing. It's always my healing. Shift C, or C, just regular C, is my Master's Call. Shift C is my Band-Aids. F, I already covered that. Shift F, that is an add cursor macro for my flare. We'll get into that in a little bit. R is another macro. It's Intimidation Macro. Again, we'll cover that in a little bit. E is for my healing. Shift E, again, that's usually another healing like a lock rock or whatever. Right now I put this here, but we can't use it because we're in the wrong zone. And then we get into our other ones. So this is where you do all of your changes here to your keybinds. Alright, movement is regular. This is where you change your movements. Again, I moved A and D to straight, left, and right. And then I unbind, move backwards to unsheath and sheath. That's all that is. Okay, that's all you need to do there. Action bar. Now, if you have an MMO Gamer mouse too, 12-button mouse, it depends. When I have a Razer, I don't have to macro 11, 12. Anything else, I do. So you have to get under action bar and macro 11 and 12 to sync with your mouse on your UI bar. So this is it right here. Number pad, plus and minus, which is 11 and 12. Alright, and then your multi-action bar. This is where all of your personal keybinds are. As you can see, these are all of mine here. Alright, and then Z for my right bar way on the side here. Z is my mount, and then Shift Z is my other mount. That's usually my transmog and repair mount. That's what that is. And then that is it. So that covers keybinds. So macros. These are in no particular order, but one or two of these are extremely important for every hunter. Let's start specific ones. Well, that one's an old cow trap macro from Legion. That one's obsolete, unfortunately. So this is a focused intimidation macro. Alright. So this is my normal target, and this is my focus target. If we're close enough, I pop that, and that will stun him. That's without me ever changing my normal target. Alright. This right here, this would be down here in Shift 4. This is a Focus Viper Sting, Focus Tracker's Net, and Focus Spider Sting. These are all focus macros. This is a Focus Kick. So if I'm playing like Double Caster or whatever, and I need to be on top of it, I'll disengage, get next to him and kick him, whatever. So right here, this is an Intimidation Macro. Now this is one of the most important macros for every hunter that has a pet. So if I pop this, not only will I use Intimidate on my pet, it will also use his Growl, so he'll get 100% threat, period. So if you're soloing a boss, just keep popping that every time he comes up. Your pet will never lose its aggro. Right here, we talked about this. This is an Alt 4. This is my healing macro for Crucible of Flames. Also, Alt 1 to heal myself. This is my Exhilaration macro on F. It uses everything that can possibly heal me. It uses all of it, all at once. My Intimidation macro, we covered that. Kill Command is another important macro for hunters. It does basically the same thing as my Serpent Sting macro, which I'll show you in a bit. You pop Kill Command, you command your pet to attack, and you command your pet to use its basic abilities all at the same time, making sure that it connects, and it connects very well, especially with dueling, and especially with my build with Venomous Fang. Right, so this is a Master's Call macro on my party or on my partner, and this is my Sacrifice macro also on my party. Okay, this is the Serpent Sting macro. So again, this casts Serpent Sting. It commands my pet to attack. It also focuses what I'm doing too, whatever arena I want to focus. So if we're killing the healer, and the DPS is 2, so it'll focus 2. If not, if he's 1, then I'll just push 1 and save. And when I push Serpent Sting, it'll automatically focus Arena 1, and I can CC him with my CC focus macros. That's all that is. Now you'll see Cancelaura Turtle. I know you guys can hear those trains in the background. I'm sorry. I live in a really small town in Indiana, and it's like the land of 1,000 trains. And I mean, I can't really do much anything about that. No matter how much noise proofing you do, trains will still come through. Anyway, aspect of the turtle. So that's Cancelaura Turtle. If you pop Turtle just to like evade Killing Spree or Fell Lance or Vendetta, whatever it is, and you need to cancel it early, you have to have the Cancelaura macro right here. So that's what I do. So I'll disengage, pop my Serpent Sting, it will Cancelaura at the same time, and Serpent Sting my target at the same time. So that's pretty cool right there. You need that. And again, it commands my pet to attack and use its basic attacks. Every pet, school, no matter what they are, no matter what kind of pet it is, has one of these abilities here, and that's why they're there. Either claw, smack, or bite. This is my the biggest cooldown macro here, my Courtier's Assault. If I am an orc, it's usually my racial and a pot, and then I'll use that as a mini burst, and Courtier's Assault will be by itself as the real burst. But if I have anything else, everything's all together right here. That's what that is. This is the only add cursor macro that I use. Add cursor just means wherever this little cursor is, wherever you're pointing, that is where that macro is going to land. All right, so over here on this crab, that's where it is. Instead of shift 2, that's my trap. See how it comes up? Now, I used to use add cursor macros for all my traps, but I found it super hard to land a trap when you're under pressure inside of an arena, and one or two mistakes causes you the match. So I'd much rather use just a standard trap throwing for my traps, so I can actually land my traps exactly where I need to do them. But flare is not as important, so I can just I can add cursor macro my flare, no problem. So throw it wherever I want to. All right, so that's that. And then this is just a regular focus macro. That about covers everything, guys. So I hope if you're new or if you weren't sure about anything, you found some kind of help out of this video, and you gain some kind of basic understanding of macros and key bindings and everything. So what you do is just take it and make it yours. You know, play around, see what works for you, see what you're comfortable with. This is how I'm comfortable. This is what most muscle memory got me. Using modifiers takes a long time. I can't stress that enough. It takes a very long time for me to be able to do all of these things, and you know, it's all about muscle memory and giving yourself time to actually learn. So practice, and modifiers are very important, guys. It helps you utilize your entire UI. Learn how to use modifiers and learn how to macro and just practice. All right. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.